I had always wanted to make the movie, but it never was in the right place at the right time. First and foremost, I am a horror fan. I wanted it so bad because it was just so close to my heart. Throughout the years, a lot of my own experiences have sort of melded into it, and I just wanted to sort of show people that part of my writing, and I wanted to show people that town. It was just such an interesting concept that I kept on going back to. And I mean, I had written a million things since then, and a lot of them, I actually sold and threw on to someone else, and I always went back to Crocdale, like always. So it was one of those things where I almost had to get it accomplished, or had to finish it to feel accomplished, because it would always be rolling around in my head if I didn't. The original idea came from Athens, Georgia, actually. When I was living there, that's when I wrote the first draft of what is Crocdale. It was called Cemetery Girl before, but it's transitioned many times before then. But it's basically taken after Athens. Athens is a small town. I think it's actually a college town, but there's only like 109,000 people that actually live there. So I sort of wanted it to be based around a town like that. And it had to be fictional because I wanted it to be like anything could happen, almost. Um, it's a town that almost feels movie-like, in a sense. John Hughes was a big influence. And that was the original influence, actually, was John Hughes films. And over the years, I mean, first and foremost, I am a horror fan. So, but I never wanted to write a full-blown horror film. I wanted to keep the whole dialogue-driven script and add sort of a horror element to it. Sort of like, I mean, I've said this a million times, but like a horror film that doesn't know it's a horror film, sort of like a transgendered horror film, and I think that's what sets Crocdale apart from a lot of genre films, is that it is two different films in one. I mean, it starts out like a John Hughes film and ends up like a Wes Craven film. I somewhat had a relationship like that with her, where it was sort of like we were always bickering and we were always fighting, but we loved to hang out with each other. And I sort of got it from that, but the way that they portrayed it on film was much more like of a almost like a hatred. And I think that it sort of worked a lot better because it made Hunter seem more like what he was, a pothead, and her more like her witty self. And I think it worked really well. I think actually the actors themselves, Lauren and Patrick, did a really good job with their character for that reason alone, is because they brought like a totally different dynamic to the characters that I didn't even know was there. And it almost added I think they added some more sexual tension to it than I intended, which I thought was kind of funny, especially Patrick. Very funny, actually. Yeah, I mean, they were awesome. Rick Gonzalez, he did some work on the original Day of the Dead and a little Orlando independent film called Automaton Transfusion that this guy Stephen Miller did. And he had a team They were actually interns. Um, Gosh, if I can remember their names. Ashley, Kurt, Jesse, and she's gonna kill me for getting her name, but there's one other one. Um, but they, all four of them were just amazing special effects artists, and they were so much more than interns. For what they put forth into the film was just unbelievable. I mean, their drive and their determination to make it look good was so cool. I mean, I've never actually worked with a special effects team before, aside from myself. So it was like really cool to actually see that happening and going to the workshops and seeing like them making everything from scratch, and it was like a dream come true. I mean, it was one of those things that I would totally love to do all over again. I was just like a kid in a candy store every time I went there, because there were just exploded heads everywhere and chopped off limbs and kitties. But no, I mean, I couldn't ask for a better special effects team, to tell you the truth. I mean, they did an awesome job. Ryan almost became like a co-director in some moments. I know that before everybody got involved, I mean, Lauren was like the person that had been there from the beginning, but Ryan had actually been there the second longest. And me and Ryan would meet and talk about how we wanted things to look. And I really think a lot of the look of Crocodile comes from Ryan. I basically told him what I wanted, and I gave him such a vague representation of what I wanted that he sort of brought his own style to it, and I think it really added a lot. I mean, I think it added a little more of the darkness that I wanted to the script. I mean, because originally I wanted it to be a very, very dark comedy. I mean, I wanted to sort of break the boundary of your normal dark comedy and make it even darker, and even in tone, you know, like atmosphere. And I wanted it to almost look like a horror film, but play off like a coming of age film. But yeah, he added a lot of look to it. I think he did an awesome job with that on that end. Crocodile was once optioned to a subsidiary of Warner Brothers at one time. During that time, I couldn't even touch it. Like, if I made any changes to it or anything, I had to get them re-registered and send it back to them. But they wouldn't incorporate them because they optioned the original. So basically I had all these versions or ideas for it, and I couldn't do anything about it. So I had this little black book that's not up here right now, but I had this little black book that I was writing all my ideas in for everything. And I actually had a section just for Crocodile. And it started getting really thick because I just kept on coming up with ideas. And that's part of the reason why I wanted it back too, because I was like, man, I could make this script awesome if I just had it back. It's about this 17-year-old girl that just goes through life and wants you to come along with her and see what she sees and meet who she meets and experience what she experiences. And she can be mean to you along the way because that's what your character is. So I mean, at the core, it's a movie about her and her mother's relationship and how they deal with life. But then, of course, there's so many other elements to it. I give you that little extra horror element at the end that keeps you interested. I guess that's what I could say about it.